You're hearing West Michigan Live on Wood Radio. Here again is Neil Dion.
I read a story the other day that just really infuriated me. You know, most of us have, we have some in our audience who are retired already. We have those of us whose parents are retired, even grandparents, and living on fixed incomes. And as we know, the price of everything keeps going up and up and up. The income doesn't change, and that puts people in a jam, people that we love, sometimes ourselves. And the story that I read was about seniors not getting an increase in their Social Security checks next year, and financial analysts predict that this trend could last for several years. And so who do I turn to? Holly Signorelli. She's a CPA. She's Holly, the money therapist. And Holly, good morning. I have some questions about this, if that's okay.
Sure.
One of the bullies in this story of why seniors are going to be denied cost of living increases is the fact that the price of gasoline is so low.
Yeah, and my opinion on that is it's really a bunch of BS because the gas prices might be low, but everything else is going up. And the clients that I've talked to that are on Social Security and retired, there's normal inflation I'm talking about basics. Somebody who's living off Social Security and doesn't have a good retirement plan, everything else is going up. The food is going up, 1.5 to 3.5%. But yeah, then they're not getting a raise, but they still have to pay for it. But I found out something interesting yesterday that I did not know before, and it's called the donut hole. Are you familiar with that?
No.
Okay, this is amazing. This blows my mind. And we don't have to get political about Obamacare right now, but the Medicare system has drastically changed. So basically, based on what you have put into Social Security during your working years, Medicare will now pay a certain amount towards your prescriptions. And the mind-boggling thing about this is once they've paid the dollar amount, let's just use a random number because it's different for everybody, but let's say that they're only going to cover $2,500. Until you have been covered $2,500 also, they will not pay for anything. But the worst part about it, and you're not going to believe this, is that the cost of prescriptions has tripled. So these people are not getting a cost of living adjustment on their Social Security, and yet the amount of money that they're spending on prescriptions, which, these people are retired, so they have more issues and need prescriptions, has tripled. So it's really putting them upside down. It's very disturbing.
Holly, I don't know what's happening here, but when I was growing up and when I was a young man, I had so much faith and confidence in every part of the United States of America, excluding a few really bad people that we read about in the newspaper.
Right.
But now, every day that I'm alive, I am more and more convinced that the government is becoming our enemy.
It does feel that way. The way the tax rates are out of proportion. And, I'm all about government assistance. Years and years ago, when I was pregnant and I didn't have a job at the time, I took advantage of the Medicaid system. But the thing is, it's about taking advantage of something during a short period of time. And so many people actually now, and I'm talking about people that I work with, in my practice, will not take on jobs because they want to stay at a certain income level so that they can get something free. And then you have people, taking it, they're just paying a ridiculous amount of tax. It's out of proportion. I mean, 60% of your income shouldn't go to the government, even if you make a lot of money. So this, my concern is the middle class. It's like what's happening to the middle class, because if you stretch them too far and we lose the middle class, you can't get it back. If you look at history.
Yeah, that's right. And every single argument that I hear, and I don't know what your politics or anything is, and mine has evolved over the years, but it seems like everything I hear from the left deals with class warfare.
Right.
If I were a rich guy, I'd be kind of insulted because all they talk about is the middle class. And if I was as destitute as I was when I was young. For example, I'd be insulted because I'm being left out, and I can't succeed if I don't choose to take a handout. And it's just the whole thing seems to be so skewed to me. It seems like America ought to be on a level playing field, because here's what is the old saying: if you rob from Peter to pay Paul, you never hear a complaint out of Paul.
Right. Yeah, it is scary to me because, again, programs are there for a reason, and they should be there to help people in certain situations. And I'm all on board for that. But we shouldn't have programs that encourage people to stay on them indefinitely. And that's the part that I have a problem with. So I'm all about helping people, giving to charities, or somebody, like I said, when I was young and pregnant and I needed assistance, it was there for me. But I couldn't wait to get off of it. I was embarrassed. I was grateful for it, but I didn't want to stay on it.
Yeah.
So I think if the mentality changed there, that or the programs changed to where they were temporary to help somebody get on their feet, and then there would be just a better situation for everyone involved. Yeah.
Yeah, listen, let me ask you something else, Holly, because I saw a figure the other day that really shocked me, too. We've all seen the downturn that we experienced in the economy back 08, 09, and so forth, when so many companies downsized and people were left without employment. And what we have seen during that time is a lot of people couldn't find work, and the ranks of the disabled or those getting disability skyrocketed. Now, anybody who is disabled, I think, certainly deserves to collect disability. You can't do anything for yourself. But those who found it a convenience, it's obvious that took place when you look at the numbers.
Yeah, and they've expanded what is called a disability to things like drug addictions, where there's treatment for that. It's like everything. You're right. There are, I've worked with many disabled clients, and that have had strokes and stuff, and they should absolutely get that. And veterans should absolutely get that. But if somebody has a drug addiction, they should be required to seek help to get past that, because those treatment plans are available. Even if those treatments were covered by the government, it shouldn't be long-term disability. Those are the things that don't make sense. I
think we all need some skin in the game. Regardless of what your income is. I mean, I'm in favor of everybody paying maybe the same percentage. I mean, that makes sense to me. But I mean, I'm no math genius like you, but that seems to me to be the simple fix. Let me go back to my initial question about gas prices.
Sure.
Affecting whether or not seniors get a cost of living increase. They say that because gas is so much cheaper, that the government is losing revenue because of that, so they can't afford to do. Who makes a decision like that?
Well, I guess Congress does, that they get a raise every year. And that's why I'm saying, I mean, everything else is going up. The prescriptions are going up. So, why can't the Social Security go up? I was looking at the charts, from 1975, and in 2010 and 11, they also didn't go up. Usually that's followed by a greater increase to compensate for it. But I really feel like it's just an excuse to, cut the budget there, even though they never cut it. You hear that all the time. They don't cut their salaries, and yet they'll cut the senior citizens' salaries, and they'll cut how much Medicare will pay for prescriptions. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. It's really sad. It's very scary, actually.
And we've seen, as you mentioned, we've seen prescriptions triple in price, and that's nothing compared to what the cost of groceries has done.
Exactly, yeah. In 2015, the price of beef went up 6.5%. So that's out of proportion with normal inflation, which is usually 2 to 3%. So the projections for 2016 are going to be normal for normal inflation between 1.5% to 3.5%. But still, all of these things are going up, and then someone who's an elder that is not really able to get a part-time job to supplement the extra expenses that they have, it's to me unacceptable.
In our remaining minute or 90 seconds, Holly, let me ask you this. For any seniors listening or folks who have, parents who are affected by a fixed income, what can they possibly do to help themselves make ends meet? Where are the savings today?
That is a very tricky question. I'm not sure I even have the answer to that. I just know that when I work with senior citizens that are, really just, they don't have retirement or they have very little, because oftentimes, if they have like less than $100,000 of cumulative savings, they are really afraid to spend any of it because of their fear is that they're going to need long-term care.
Right.
It's unknown what could happen. People live longer, and sometimes that means they have even more problems. So they don't want to spend it, and they just become very, very frugal, and they end up not getting to have any fun. If you're on a budget, and I talk about this all the time as the money therapist, whatever budget you're on, whatever your income is, you still have a budget. You still should be able to incorporate some fun. So that's, again, where the inflation issue is a problem, because if everything else is going up, they should be able to get an increase as well. And you kind of hit on this earlier. Right now, they don't even think the program will be around, or it'll go bankrupt by 2033. So the people that are putting into Social Security now, they know they're not going to see it. So I don't have a resolution. I wish I did.
Oh, gosh.
But there needs to be something better than what they're doing if everybody else is getting a raise.
I have so many questions of you regarding retirement and how to pull it off and how to get ahead of the game, but we'll have to do it on another show. Holly, I hope you'll come back.
Absolutely. This is fun.
It has been a pleasure. That is Holly Signorelli. She is Holly the Money Therapist, a registered investment advisor, and with Group 1 Insurance as well. Definitely have her back, because there are a lot of questions for those of us who are looking down the road.